Is the world breaking on purpose? Because if you look closely, every move happening right now looks like it's designed to push the systems to its edge. Japan backing off US debt, China slamming the sales button, and the Fed is once again pretending they got everything under control. But here's what they don't want to admit. It's not under control, it's unraveling. And while everyone distracted by the symptoms, Bitcoin is quietly soaking up the fallout. So let's break this down, because this isn't just news. This is the moments that proves why Bitcoin was created. Right now, foreign demands for US bonds is collapsing. Let's talk about numbers. In just one recent wave, China dumped over $50 billion worth of treasury. That's not trimming, that's ditching. Why? Because bonds aren't safe anymore. Yields are up, inflation sticky, and the global trust in US debt is slipping fast. Even Japan, the largest holder, is pulling back. And when two of your biggest bonds buyers start heading to the exit, that's not normal. That's a signal. And what happens when the buyers vanish? Someone got to step in. Enter the Federal Reserve. And they're not buying bonds with money they saved up. They're printing more dollars to soak up the debt no one else wants. Think about that. America is issuing IOUs to itself with its own printer. If this were monopoly, that's when the bankers quietly flips the board. Now here's the consequence nobody's pricing in. This cycle bond dumpings and Fed's interventions leads to more liquidity, also known as more money creation. And what happens when more dollars chase the same goods? Inflation. Again, the very things the Fed said it had under control come roaring back, and suddenly your dollars don't stretch as far. Grocery costs more, rent surges, and the dollars, it gets weaker. But guess what stays untouched? Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't inflate, it doesn't bend to policy, it doesn't print its ways out of crisis. It's just sitting there, fixed supplies, global access, no middleman. And in moments like this, that's exactly what gives its power. Here's what the headlines will tell you. Wall Street is watching all of this. They might not say it on CNBC, but they see the writings on the wall. You don't need the press release when BlackRock, Fidelities, and sovereign wealth funds are scooping up Bitcoins like it's the only seats left on the lifeboat. They're not betting on hype. They're hedging against collapse. You got ETFs stacking Bitcoin quietly in the background. OTC desks are getting swamped. This isn't retail driving the price. This is big money's preparing for a storm. They are not in for quick flips. They're front running the breakdowns of this old system. And here's the most ironic part. The very chaos they helped create, it's now what makes Bitcoins valuable. Let's zoom out. Currency's collapse doesn't start with an explosion. It starts with trust decay, slow erosion. That's what's happening right now. Japan loses trust. China dumps bonds. The Fed prints more. Inflation creeps in. And regular people, they get squeezed in a silence until one day the dam breaks. And then everyone start asking, where can I park values that governments can't touch? That's not gold. That's not real estate. That's Bitcoin. This is why we're here. Not to chase candle, not to day trade emotion, but to exit a systems that crumble under its own weight. Now let's slow down for a second. If you've been feeling like things are off, like the whole system feel wobbly, you're not crazy. You're early. Most people won't realize what's happening until it's too late. They will feel the pains of inflation, debt trap, wage stagnations, but they won't see the escape hatch that's been glowing the whole time. That escape hatch is Bitcoin. This isn't a promo. This is reality. And no, I'm not saying everyone needs a whole coin. That's not the point. Stack what you can, bit by bit, because even a little exposure is steps toward freedom. Here's the harsh truth. The elites will never announce when it's time to buy. They accumulate in silence and offload to the public once price has already skyrocketed. That's the game. If you wait for the media to tell you Bitcoin is safe, you already missed the move. The system works because most people are unaware, but once you start connecting the dots, you realize what's really going on. They are not bailing out banks because they care. They're protecting the legacy systems they benefit from. And the only way out for regular people is through an asset the system doesn't control. So, where does this leave us? Simple. The world is panicking, but Bitcoin isn't, because it was built for moments exactly like this. Chaos isn't its enemy, it's the proof. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to time the market. You just need to stay curious, ask questions, and don't ignore the one asset that quietly standing tall while everything else starts to shake. I will say this, Bitcoin is not going to wait for permission, and neither should you. Like, subscribe, and stay sharp, stay early, and most important of all, don't forget to hold it tight and stack it right. Take care.